Hey guys, first regardsman here, and today I'm back once again with Jefficus to talk about the upcoming Techmarine class in Space Marine 2, whether this was the right choice for the game, and what gameplay styles it actually bring to the overall classes that we have currently.
I'm pretty excited myself. Ever since Dawn of War 2 lets you play as a Tech Marine as one of like the hero or commander characters, it's kind of been one of my favorite types of Space Marines to see just on tabletop or in any one of the numerous video games that we have for 40k. As for if it was the right choice, I feel like Apothecary probably would have been a better choice as like a first class, mostly because a lot of players do want that extra healing on the team. If an Apothecary is going to provide extra healing on the team, and it would probably have helped with a lot of like the hard mode stratagem farming that a lot of players are kind of locked into and engaged with right now.
I would definitely agree that Apothecary would have been better for like the overall player base. I think where the player base's skill is at, healing is pretty much like a fundamental gameplay mechanic for a lot of players. A lot of players are still asking for like overall global healing for all classes, independent of the perks like Invigorating Icon and Unmatched Zeal, which I think is a little over the top, but Apothecary could definitely fill that niche to give players a proper medic on the team. You might run into the problem where players would constantly flame others for not taking Apothecary, but that's really more of an issue of like the community rather than like the actual game design. And I think that Techmarine, while being a good option, is probably not my first choice. I personally would have preferred a librarian, but I think Apothecary is a smart choice, like
Ooh,
you
that's a good
said.
one.
Like librarians, I think would fill in the niche of having a wizard play style, something completely separate from the classes we have now. And I
Yeah.
really don't think that having a Tech Marine with like a proper minion play style, depending on how the actual turrets work, is the best choice because so far we know this will have turrets. We know have a shoulder gun as well, but the turrets will be placed on map. We're not sure how these will work on siege mode, but it sounds like the turrets will be set up with like their own HP bars, their own ammunition count, and you'll be repairing those on mission because Tech Marines is kind of what they do. They go in and like repair stuff on missions. Like the best way to
Yeah,
represent
yeah.
that.
I think that you kind of nailed it. This is kind of like Saber's interpretation of a minion based playstyle, which is kind of hard to do for Space Marines. We actually see a Tech Marine in the game Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, and they kind of have like a minion based playstyle because they actually have servitors following them. But I don't think that Saber was going to go that far, like
You have the
add
actual
servitors to the
servitors.
game. Yeah, exactly.
It would be cool.
And so it would, but this is like probably the next best thing. Kind of have like the shoulder mounted kind of turret gun where it's just an auto enemy seeking. I believe you could do like last cannon, plasma incinerator or heavy plasma incinerator or whatever, and then the bolter, and then have your turrets kind of randomly placed throughout a map. I think that's kind of sufficient to try to fill the niche. Whether it fully fills the niche, I guess we'll see when we play it.
My bigger worry for the class is that it really is dependent on how good the shoulder gun is. We know for a fact it will have a shoulder gun as a gear perk that you can basically spec into like a lasgun style sniper, a plasma, or like a standard bolter. That could be pretty cool, but if it's an underpowered weapon, it'll feel pretty bad for the player to use. If the class comes out underpowered, I think that would suck a ton for the game. As far as the primary weapons and secondary weapons we know it has, we know it'll have an auto bolt rifle, a heavy bolt rifle, Oculus bolt carbine, and a plasma incinerator, or it might just be like the standard bolt rifle, actually, I think, not the auto bolt rifle. But the bolt rifle giving you a combi melta option, that could be pretty good. Unfortunately, this class will not have the same ammunition recharging or regeneration that the tactical class has, excuse me. And the tactical is pretty popular in this game, despite being one of the overall weaker classes currently in terms of survivability. I feel like this is going to play more as a hybrid class than tactical, because tactical is like pretty much full-on range gameplay. I think they're trying to move
Yeah.
away from that a little bit with the Tech Marine, where Tech Marine is going to play closer to a mix of TAC and Vanguard, which is why they're giving him things like the Power Axe and a Omniscia Axe on top of this, on top of stuff like an Inferno Pistol and a Plasma Pistol, which they leaked a while back in like June. Now, as far as have you read over the team perks at all? This guy, they did leak a while
No, I
back.
haven't. Nope.
So what we do have here are things like a bastion field where all team members within like X meters of an active sentry turret will take less damage and deal more damage. So you could play like a defense style with this class, which would be pretty interesting. I think that would be a little bit more interesting to some players, maybe like a minion build. Do you think that's like a good play style for the game? Do you think turrets and like having a defense setup is like a proper gameplay style that Space Marine 2 is missing?
Not necessarily, because you do have Bulwark. Like, if you really wanted to, you could spec Bulwark Banner away from Invigorating Icon, and it actually has a rather short cooldown. So it already has kind of like a defensive turtle around an area kind of playstyle. It's certainly not missing by any means, but it is cool to do it around a turret. So it is a little different, maybe more offensive.
I think the turrets, it depends on how strong the turrets are, once again, like things like the shoulder gun. I think a turret playstyle could be really cool because a lot of players do love in horde shooters a defensive type of playstyle. Like banners are a very popular ability in like pretty much any horde shooter ever. I think
Yeah.
what players are really looking for in a horde shooter is just that feeling of like holding the line. There are overwhelming odds come against you and you barely survived. And some players do love that support playstyle where you put down your banner, you put down your turret, and you just watch it do work. I think it's very popular in games like Helldivers 2 for a reason. Turret builds are like one of the biggest builds in that game. I think it would actually do a lot for this game, even though I would prefer that librarian playstyle, something like a bubble shield like you see in Darktide. But what do you think is like a preferred class for the player base beyond like Apothecary?
Beyond Apothecary, we kind of have like ever since they really buffed or fixed Assault from patch 9 or 10. I feel like we already have that like dedicated melee class that I was kind of thinking the game was missing. Now that that niche is filled, I don't think there are too many more niches other Space Marines could fill that the current roster doesn't already handle. I would actually like to see an expansion of perks. Like I would want to see more build customization for the current roster of classes, in addition to the things that the community talks about all the time. You know, Techmarine, Apothecary, possibly Chaplain and or Librarian, whatever they want to do there. I think that all those would work, but I want to be able to do more with the current roster.
I
That's
would
what I'm
agree,
interested
like
in.
new melee weapons and stuff like that. They did talk
Yeah.
about there are no lightning claws as like a priority. They are prioritizing great swords over lightning claws. I did put out a community poll a while back asking players like which they would like to see the most, lightning claws or a great sword. Most players said they want lightning claws. So I think that Saber Interactive might take a look at that again because they did post on their community Discord like way back when that lightning claws are not a priority for them like at all, and there are zero current plans for lightning claws in the game, period, not just like a lack of priority. So it is interesting to see they're kind of just like foregoing lightning
That's
claws currently.
that's an interesting choice because lightning claws are pretty iconic in the setting.
They're more iconic than two-handed weapons, so you see them way more on
Yeah.
current models, and you see any like type of two-handed greatsword, even though heavy eviscerators are really cool for players. I think that's a bit of a misstep from them. Hopefully, look into that in like year 3 or something. But as far as what affects the overall gameplay loop, I think new classes are good for the game. The only thing you can do over that is like a new faction. Though they did previously say they'll never have a new faction in the game. Bringing in the Tech Marine
Mhm.
instead, that is a good thing for Space Marine 2. I think Tech Marine will bring in the most players of any update in this game besides like patch 10, and hopefully it'll bang. And if they see like a proper response to the Tech Marine, this might be like them testing the water on a more out there class like a librarian or maybe even like a chaplain or something like that. They did previously express that they want to have a chaplain in the game as well. The creative director did say chaplain was actually his preferred class, but I think the choice for Tech Marine came from the overall response to AdMech in games like Darktide and just Ethos Mechanicus and stuff like
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
because people love AdMech, and Tech Marine is like the closest thing we have to that.
I think they probably chose Techmarine also more so because it kind of falls in line with the weapons and everything that the other classes already have. I think that's probably why we got the Power Axe released in year 2 because they needed another weapon for the Techmarine to use other
Great
than
point.
just the Omnissiah axe. So, and then of course you have the bolt rifles, the plasma exterminators, blah blah blah. One thing I'm kind of afraid of is it doesn't seem like there's much variety in the primary and secondary weapons. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't add something like Flamer to this class, other than balancing issues, I suppose. That would be the only thing I could think of.
I would say some of these guns are the most popular guns in the game. Like the heavy bolt rifle is a very popular gun in Space Marine 2
Yeah,
for
it's
whatever
versatile.
reason. I mean, the heavy bolt rifle is not very good in Space Marine 2, unfortunately. It's not terrible, but
I
these
was
are
thinking bolt rifle. My bad.
oh
Very versatile.
the standard bolt rifle is pretty good right now. The heavy bolt
Yeah.
rifle, not super great. I'm like really looking forward to that. Oculus bolt carbine, same thing. These are like pretty okay weapons. And the plasma exterminator, which is what they called it, like their original game files, was like almost guaranteed to be the plasma incinerator. These are pretty good gun choices, but not really what I was looking for personally. Well, what preferred loadout would you want from a Techmarine? Like, how would you want this to play? Because once again, what I think the issue is, or like what the potential issue with the Techmarine class could be, is that they underpower his shoulder gun. Because his loadout
Yeah.
here, we've seen gameplay of the Omniscience axe a little bit. I'm not going to show it in this video. I'll probably make a video about that later. But they did show the actual animations for this. And the Power Halberd, the Omniscience axe, it is a pretty slow moving weapon. It is not a quick weapon at all. So I think that might be really difficult for a lot of players in this game to actually utilize. Thunderhammer's pretty hard for the player base already, and this might actually be a high skill cap class. Like, you never know.
I think it definitely will be. I mean, if it's not able to regenerate any sort of ammo, then you're going to have to kind of play it like Vanguard, where with Vanguard, you kind of have to be creative with how you do damage to everything. That's why you got like the grapple execute build to be able to just do massive AoE damage by focusing on low health enemies that your team and you are kind of like whittling away at. With this, you're probably going to have to be very conservative with your ammo and rely on damage from the shoulder mounted gun and from the turrets while you just kind of survive in melee. I could see that being a really viable play style, especially in a mode like Siege, where you can kind of just kite all the enemies to the turrets. And so you don't necessarily have to worry about your ammo too much. Although with Siege, you could always spawn additional ammo. So I think that the turret placement inside of operations is going to be the crucial thing here.
That's a great point, actually. Now, we do know the shoulder gun will be like a temporarily active thing, just kind of like the Iron Halo on the heavy, where you press a button, your shoulder gun goes active, you get some bonuses depending on your gear perk trees, and then it'll go back into like being dormant. I don't think it has like an overall ammo limit. I think it's just like purely limited by your class ability cooldown, which is a pretty good choice, I think, because we already have some perks that were leaked a while back. Let's say the actual turrets on map will have their separate ammunition and HP independent of the shoulder gun, and the shoulder gun's like this infinite ammo ability. So it would be pretty cool having those interact with each other in a game map. I think the shoulder gun could be a really cool option for like, okay guys, we have a huge boss here. I'm gonna activate my shoulder gun. It'll like 3-shot this extremis for us, and then we can clean up the boss and stuff like that. And the turret can do like major work all along the way if we actually like take the time to repair that. That'd be a pretty cool idea. But like you said, it depends where they're going to be placed on the map. We are getting a new operation with this class as well. So hopefully that new operation is like majorly made with Techmarine in mind. I'm sure it is, just because it is like the new operation coming with the Techmarine class. So they probably put extra effort in making sure these turrets are like a proper spot. I'm sure some of them will be suboptimal, and for Siege mode, it's going to be pretty like gimmicky like everything else in that mode is, unfortunately, as far as like pickups are concerned.
Of course. And I think my final thoughts would be it's kind of weird that the class doesn't have the melter rifle. Like I feel like that would kind of be a given, especially since it's a tech marine.
That's actually a great
Maybe
point.
maybe a little bit of an oversight there. And the Neo Volkite. Like the Neo Volkite can easily be added to the tech marine. Also, Saber, while you're at it, can you buff the Neo Volkite?
Just about the
That's it.
CHP regen laser beam will be happy.
Yeah,
Now, I do
exactly.
want to say one more thing before we get off here, is that the secondary weapons, I don't think these are like the final secondary weapons we'll be having. We did see a leak of a plasma and inferno pistol. There's no actual standard bolt pistol here either, which is like insane. There's absolutely no way this class is coming out without the standard bolt pistol. That doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm sure they'll add that later, or like these are just like a impartial list. So, or excuse me, a partial list
Yep.
here. So I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be seeing in the official release. But anyways, thank you for coming on, Jeff. Thank you for talking about Techmarine with me. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you looking forward to Techmarine? Do you care more about the new operations and the upcoming heroics that are yet to be revealed? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe to Jefficus. He has come on once again to help me out and talk about this with me with his
Yeah.
glorious insight. So subscribe to him, and thanks for coming on, man.
Of course, dude.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, take it easy. Bye.
The Emperor protects.